tout simplement, c'est d'être un bon être humain.
It's an entire way of life for me.
Ce sentiment d'appartenance à quelque chose qui est un tout petit peu au-delà de soi-même.
What does it mean for you to be a Muslim?
C'est avoir des valeurs communes qui sont également des valeurs universelles. L'empathie, la bonté, la recherche du savoir, qui est pour moi une des valeurs fondamentales de la religion.
Avoir un certain équilibre entre ce que je crois et entre ce que je vis, entre l'individualisme et l'altruisme, entre le visible et l'invisible.
C'est une de mes identités, puis moi, je préfère la montrer en faisant des œuvres caritatives. Depuis mon jeune âge, on a réalisé plusieurs actions humanitaires, on a pu aider plusieurs communautés.
So being a Muslim, do I put it down or? Okay. Being a Muslim is more than just praying and fasting. It's also about who you are as a person, your personality, your character. So it's about being kind, about being patient, empathetic, compassionate, being there for others, helping out others in the community when they're feeling stressed out or when they're having a hard time. So that means your neighbors, your relatives, your family, the person that you see at the bus stop, the person that you see at the store.
I have a certain guideline and principles and values that I follow. And the guideline comes from the Quran, which is our holy book, and the Sunnah, which is the life and actions and words that was lived by our Prophet Muhammad. And that is the guidance that I use every day. It guides my spiritual health, mental health, physical health, as well as relationship health.
Pour moi, d'être musulman, c'est vraiment de se soumettre à quelque chose de plus grand que soi-même et de vivre la foi à chaque instant.
Is really about following the religion of Islam through various trials and tribulations that we have as we live in an imperfect world and we're imperfect people. But ultimately, being a Muslim is really about trying our best and doing our best with what we have.
Comment décririez-vous l'islam à quelqu'un qui n'en sait pas beaucoup sur cette religion?
Islam is a set of principles and it's a lifestyle.
It's an Abrahamic faith and it's one of the major religions of the world. Followers of Islam are called Muslims, and we follow the Holy Quran, which is where we get our guidance and our teachings.
It's about believing in God, believing in one God, Allah, and believing in the prophets, believing in the holy book, the Quran. It's also about believing in 5 pillars. So like I said, so one God. It's about praying, fasting, zakah, so that's charity. And it's also about going on Hajj, so that's a pilgrimage if you can.
Islam is also a very deeply spiritual religion, and the ritualistic aspects of the religion really combine with the spiritual ones. All the acts of worship in Islam are meant to draw you closer to God, and that's what guides a Muslim's choices.
Le fait de croire en la journée du jugement qui nous pousse à toujours essayer d'être la meilleure version de nous-mêmes dans toutes les petites actions qu'on fait au quotidien.
C'est une religion qui enseigne la compassion, la tolérance, et qui défend la dignité de chaque être humain.
Qui vraiment valorise, encore une fois, les valeurs de bonté, de partage, d'empathie, de recherche du savoir. Et c'est aussi une religion qui valorise beaucoup l'éthique dans le travail.
Il y a une vision, il y a un objectif, c'est l'excellence. On est toujours dans un processus d'amélioration de soi, d'amélioration de ses relations, d'amélioration de son travail, d'amélioration de toute sa vie.
It really is a journey for each individual person. No one's a perfect Muslim, but it just really is about making an effort to seek knowledge and to grow through life and adapt to life's various changes with a strong sense of faith.
Let's see what this one says. What is one misconception about Muslims or Islam that you want to clear up? Just one?
One misconception that I want to clear up is that Islam oppresses women. And this is not true, this is not right, because Islam is a religion that protects women. It is not true that Muslim women do not have a voice, and it's not true that Muslim women hide behind their fathers or behind their husbands or behind their brothers. I know for a fact that I don't do that.
Being a Muslim woman who wears the hijab, which is the headscarf, and the abaya, which is the long loose dress that I'm wearing, I want people to know that I am more than the sum of my wardrobe choices. Yes, the way I look, the way I interact with others is defined to me by my religion. But my religion also gives me free choice, and the choices that I have made have been liberating for me.
And I wear the hijab by choice. No one's forced me to do it. It's something that I chose to do. The hijab is a way for me to feel closer to God. It's an act of worship, and it's also a way for me to get reward with it. And the hijab doesn't stop me in any way. I can do all the things that I love to do. Sometimes people think that, you can't participate in sports or you can't do different activities. But for me, I can still swim. I love diving. I love running. I love biking. So the hijab actually empowers me to do more.
So one of the misconceptions of Islam I'd like to clear up is the fact that most folks believe that Islam is a religion of law and obedience, and that the Quran follows as a book of law. On the contrary, the Quran is an important reference for faith, ethics, and it isn't a book on definitions and regulations.
But one thing that I would like to clarify is that Islam really does encourage critical thinking. Islam really encourages Muslims to ask questions, have open dialogue, and open discussions about different topics. In Islam, there are many different sects, and Muslims do have different opinions about things. It really does encourage open dialogue. It really is a religion that touches on many different topics. All of those topics, people have different opinions about them, but at the end of the day, Islam really does encourage people to understand how flexible the religion is and how everything that Islam stands for is really rooted in compassion and empathy.
I also want to talk about the fact that Muslims are not a monolith. So when most people think about Muslims, they think there's some Middle Eastern group. But Muslims come from all over the world. There are Muslims in Africa, in Asia, even in Europe.
L'islam n'est pas lié à une langue ou bien un lieu géographique, mais c'est une religion universelle que tout le monde peut adopter s'il croit que c'est la bonne voie qu'il doit suivre. Certains médias, malheureusement, lient l'islam à la violence, mais c'est au contraire.
Ces personnes-là qui sont vraiment opportunistes et qui prennent en prétexte la religion pour justifier leurs actes ne devraient vraiment pas être associées à la communauté générale des musulmans qui sont vraiment, nous partageons encore une fois, nous valorisons beaucoup la paix, la tranquillité, l'empathie.
Like the way people say hello or the way people greet one another is actually by saying peace. It's saying peace be upon you. So whenever someone says assalamu alaikum, the way Muslims greet one another, it's actually saying peace. So that's how beautiful and peaceful the religion is.
What are some ways we can all tackle Islamophobia and create a better place for Muslims?
Souvent, les gens pensent que l'islamophobie, c'est le fait de critiquer la religion de l'islam ou le Coran. Mais c'est bien plus que ça. L'islamophobie, c'est vraiment de venir attaquer des musulmans, un groupe de personnes par rapport à leurs principes et à leur foi.
L'islamophobie, à mon avis, trouve ses racines dans l'ignorance. Il faut mener sa propre recherche à propos de l'islam pour ne pas avoir cette islamophobie.
Is to avoid biases and to avoid generalizations, and that means for everything in life. It's important to try and educate yourself, and again, that's for everything in life. Try to talk to people, ask questions, don't be afraid to speak up. That's what's really important.
Stand up whenever we see something wrong or whenever we see somebody being bullied or discriminated against. So one great way that we can raise awareness about Islamophobia is to really explain what Islam is and what Muslims believe. Having these beliefs being clarified will be really helpful to a lot of people so that they can really understand who Muslims are and what the Muslim identity truly means.
And I think there's a responsibility there for Muslims to take control of the narrative and share more personal stories about what it means to be Muslim. And at the same time, I feel that we need to find more ways of being able to articulate how that story is shared with public.
Dans le milieu du travail, n'hésitez pas à essayer de connaître vos collègues. Nous passons quand même beaucoup de temps avec nos collègues. Donc, essayons d'en savoir un peu plus les uns sur les autres.
Express what you're going to do. You know, when you're fasting during Ramadan, express why you do it and why it's important. Tell them why charity and zakah is something that we do in our religion. So have these small conversations with your managers, with your colleagues, informally, you know, when you're having a meeting or a dinner or something. Try to break that barrier and let everybody know that you are a Muslim and this is the lifestyle that you are living in. So that opens doors to conversations, because I'm a firm believer in having conversations and open communication with who you are. And I think as Muslims, we have to try our best to be comfortable with our faith and not be afraid of being judged. And if we are judged, let it be.
And sometimes these conversations are not easy. So creating a safe space to talk about Islamophobia, to recognize that challenges exist, to talk about the things that we need to do more to make our workplaces more inclusive, and to remember and honor victims of hate crime, to make sure that we are highlighting the positive contributions of Muslims in society and how they're contributing to Canada.
Et respecter les valeurs des personnes et vraiment pas les enfermer dans une étiquette.
So I think that's how you could tackle Islamophobia one step at a time.
Merci. Que signifie pour vous le mois canadien de l'histoire islamique?
Pour moi, le mois canadien de l'histoire islamique, c'est une occasion de partager, c'est une occasion d'échanger avec les différentes parties de la société canadienne, parce que la société canadienne, c'est une société très diversifiée.
C'est une occasion de célébrer notre culture religieuse, de célébrer tous les Canadiens qui partagent cette foi, qu'ils soient d'ailleurs d'origine immigrante ou pas, parce qu'encore une fois, c'est pas une ethnie, c'est pas une nationalité, c'est vraiment une religion. On choisit ou pas d'y adhérer.
It's important to put and emphasize that being Muslim, it's the one important thing that binds us all together, regardless of all our differences.
It's also a time where I like to talk about the unfortunate reality of Islamophobia and what we can do to counter it. And it's also a time where we remember and honor the victims of hate crimes and have difficult conversations around what we can do to ensure that nobody suffers any discrimination because of the views or religious beliefs they have.
For me, it's about celebrating all the wins, all the different achievements that Muslims have done across the world, in Canada, here, that's right now, and in the past. So there's many things that Muslims have done in the past. For example, in mental health, in healthcare, in math, algebra. There's been many different accomplishments, inventions, and achievements.
And at the same time, it's also an opportunity for Muslims to really dig deeper about what their ideals really mean in a changing society, and what we can do together to really uphold these values in society today, and to work together to contribute to the public sphere in a way that leaves a positive impact, not just for us, but for generations to come.
Another thing that I really like about Canadian Islamic History Month is that it really sends a positive message for everyone, which is what the core of Islam is, that we're all imperfect people living in an imperfect world, but Islam really is just a way of life for us Muslims, and it's something that we're really proud of, and we're really proud to share with the world.